Hello, and thank you for joining us for tonight's edition of Majority Caucus. My name is Ali Dawood. We're coming live on your screens on multi-TV. We are both live on air and then online. For tonight, we will be discussing the president's what you call quick reshuffle, and then we would also attempt to fuse it with the debates on the budget that took place on the floor of the House earlier today in Parliament House. But my guest tonight, by popular request really, I have in the studio Prince Kasim, who is the UK Ireland chapter NDC General Secretary, and he's here with us. He was here last week, and like I said, by popular request, we have to retain him for tonight's discussion as well. We also have, today is strictly UK affair, we have the UK Ireland Youth Organizer NDC, Mr. Gameli Hodofi Kewribi, and the surname is very powerful. You must be careful when you are pronouncing it. So tonight with this gentleman, we would attempt to dissect the issues so that you out there watching us, you will be better informed. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time here.
My pleasure.
We talked about the budget, but of course we'll go there in the middle of the program. Yeah. But reshuffle, really, there has been series of criticisms. I mean, let's be fair. The question has always been that, I mean, if the president knew that he was going to appoint a voter regional minister to come to Accra, he should just have gone ahead straight the first day. There's no point appointing him for close to, they haven't even started work yet, if I'm right, some of them at least. So there's no point in doing that. I don't know if this is a view that you contend with. Do you agree with this proposition?
Yes, I strongly agree with the president's move. The president has shown that he has Ghana at heart. Ghana is one country. Ghana is a country that a lot of Africans aspire to be like, even though we are still doing everything possible to perfect the kind of country we are. The president wants to make the local assemblies, that's the district assemblies and our municipal, metropolitan and district assemblies as they call it, the president wants to make them the incubators and realizers of local development. So he wants them to be at the forefront of delivering public services that the good people of Ghana need. It's strong, the decision is very strong, the action is swift, and I am very happy that Mr. President has taken this bold move because, you know, it is the NDC that does things like this. I always say this. We are a party of cohesion. We are a party that works with the Ghanaian people to realize the goals. We don't sit at the top thinking that we can just feed anything to the people. We build the country from the bottom up, and that is what the president is doing.
Okay, but how about the argument that the president appears to be indecisive? It is early days yet. At least do allow them to find fit in their various portfolio, and then perhaps based on their performances, you know, you want to switch, fire or reshuffle. It's too early. What's the standard?
I think that we all know the general perception in this country. If you come from a certain part of the country, people tend to put a lot of pressure on you. Do this for me, do that for me. From, with all due respect to our hardworking chiefs, some could sometimes get over-demanding. Ordinary people, you know, rank and file, people could get over-demanding, and once that happens, it compromises the minister's positions. So it is always good to put a minister who can just do his work without fear or favor at a particular place. And the best way forward, President Rawlings did the same. He did something similar. President Nkrumah did something similar. It was only in the 12 years before now that it is happening again, that it didn't happen that much. So now, Mr. President, His Excellency John Mahama, has seen clearly that it'll be good for this country to reintegrate people, find a common ground among the people. We are one people, so you could send somebody from the Greater Accra region, like the Honorable Afote Agbo has been sent to the Volta region. I'd love him to be there so that he can deliver, because I know he's capable of delivering. The good thing is competence. These gentlemen and women are very competent. Both the main ministers and their deputies. They are the appointed deputies. They are very, very competent. And that is what we should be looking for. One, they are Ghanaians. Two, they are competent.
Absolutely. For competence, I believe that there's no doubt about their competence. But Gameli, the other side of the argument, and this is coming from some members of NDC, believe it or not, that this goes to cause the so-called overspending, then the MPP would not leave it to go. The issue about lack of confidence by the staff that will be working around these ministers. Because the idea is that when you come there, I do not want to use the word family, but they get used to you, they get accustomed to your system and approach, and they might want to adopt. And then the moment you are changed, they now have to reorganize themselves, get settled, and then get business going. There's so much time being wasted, and that the president could have relaxed. Maybe just wait for even a year, and then carry on with your reshuffle. It's too, they think that the cost far outweighs the benefit that comes with such an action.
I beg to differ. I believe that, people are making a storm in a teacup. Essentially the president, we have to put everything in context. The president has the prerogative, okay? He is the commander-in-chief. And so that if today he determines that, Ali, I want you to be Minister of Information, Deputy Minister of Information, it's his prerogative. And then he would have determined that based on your competence and believing that you can do the job well. Now, when you come to the argument of, familiarity and what have you, the people of the Northern region, for instance, still yearn for Joshua Alabi, Professor Joshua Alabi, because he's seen as one of the best regional ministers they've ever had in the Northern region. And he happens to be a Gama or from the Greater Accra region. He doesn't come from the Northern region. And like Prince said, it's about competence. So that it's like a first degree, essentially. That if you've got a first degree, it is to allow you, it prepares you, or university education essentially prepares you to be able to fit in anywhere.
Okay.
And it's the same thing. Once you've gone through the vetting process, the president has, determined that you're competent, and you've gone through that vetting process, he can determine that, okay, look, I want you to go to the Northern region instead of the Greater Accra region, where you're comfortable. Now, what it does, it's about cohesion, social cohesion. We are one people, one Ghana with a common destiny, so that it shouldn't matter that I come from the Volta region or the Northern region.
Before we deal with the cohesion element, I want you to address the issue of cost, resources, time.
I actually don't see the
For
issue.
instance, some were giving examples of changing the letterheads because the minister has been changed. They have to print the whole stationery for the particular ministry, and this involves money and time.
It is inconsequential. If you ask anybody who does design, I can design stuff for you myself.
And these days of financial loss.
Look, we know that, yes, we have to be thrifty, and in the days of austerity, we have to mind the public purse. But honestly, we have to believe in the judgment of the president. For me, actually, if you ask me, it is master stroke, master tactician, that all the little agitations we're hearing in the background, that the president is a president who listens, is a president who is bold to make bold decisions. Okay, so he determines that, look, fine, 2 months ago, I nominated ministers who went through vetting and they've gone to post. But today, I believe that taking, current, as is, current situations, situational analysis, he's reviewed the situation and he believes that, look, the best thing for him to do right now is to reshuffle them, send them to the various regions. And then in terms of people talk about local knowledge, you don't need local knowledge because the minister is the representative of the president in that place. These are deconcentrated.
But his performance,
yes,
the difference between the president and the minister is that the minister's constituency has been demarcated.
Yes.
The president has the whole of Ghana as his constituency.
Absolutely.
The minister, your business is restricted to the particular region.
Yes, and so that's interesting.
Perhaps local knowledge is key, don't you think?
No, not at all, because this is the thing. We have the technocrats in place. Remember the regional structure. I mean, if we take Ghana's local government setup, for instance, we have the deconcentrated bodies at the regional level. Okay, the type of decentralization that operates at the regional level is deconcentration. So that if you move from that point, then you go down devolution at the district level. That's according to our national policy. Okay, so we have technocrats in place who represent government bodies, okay, national agencies at the regional level. Besides, the RCC itself, I mean, works as a bureaucracy. Okay, so there's a chief director, as in a coordinating director, right there with his staff. So when it comes to local knowledge, they are the ones who are supposed to, based on evidence they've gathered, the situational analysis, strategies they have in place, they're supposed to brief the minister. Okay, the minister is the political head representing the president.
So for instance, you don't think understanding the local language is important?
My brother.
You've been interacting, for instance, in Volta region.
Yeah.
Largely. I'm sure most of them will be comfortable when you speak the Ewe language. And if you are brought there and you speak Ga, that is going to create some difficulty.
But you're not going to be speaking Ga with them.
But if the English language doesn't resonate well with them, we need to be sincere.
No, it's not. This is sincerity. It's not about, you see, for me, I think we are trending a very dangerous path. Okay, that ethnicity, look, is going to hold our country, if we're not careful. The cohesion of this country, ethnicity is going to hold it to ransom. Okay, that people are going to say, take me for instance, my dad is Ewe, my mom is an Odna, a Gonja. Okay, I mean, where do I come? Where do I fit in? That I don't come from the Volta region, that I don't come from the northern region. Is that what you're going to say? So it means that I won't be fit to be northern regional minister and I won't be fit to be Volta regional minister. You see that? So ethnicity is a dangerous, dangerous thing, and we need to put it in the background. Like Prince said, competence, the power of the president. I believe in the divine presidency.
Okay, I need to take a break, but before I do that, let me just read this quickly. The official reason for which the president made this reshuffle, he said, and I read, part of the vision of the administration of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, is to transform the metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies, that's MMDAs, bracket close, into incubators and realizers of local level development that brings real, immediate, and sustainable development opportunities, benefits, and services to the people of Ghana. And that in line with this vision, in order for the regional ministers to focus mainly on the political and technical coordination of the development efforts of the MMDAs, and as a measure to foster national unity, integration, and cohesion, the president has effected the reshuffle that took place. Let's go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll still be in the studio and discussion continues. Stay with me. I'll be right back. And hello and welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us, this is Majority Caucus. We are live on your multi-TV, both online and on air. In the studio, I have Prince Kasim, who is the General Secretary of the NDC UK Ireland chapter, and also in the studio is the youth organizer for NDC UK Ireland chapter. Quickly, before we delve into the debate of the budget, the issue about integration regarding this reshuffle, perhaps one might have thought that in the past, if you want to use the first president's tenure as an example, Kwame Nkrumah, at that time we really needed that. This was a transformation from colonialism to gaining independence and gradually on the path of becoming a republic. the situations are different. You know, can we not say that we are integrated well enough? You gave a personal background. At that time, it wasn't like that. Even parties were ethnically based. So maybe the argument of integration may not foster too well.
I believe that the concept of integration, if we're looking at integration.
Do you need regional ministers to form integration? You know,
it helps the process.
Okay.
You know,
one person going to northern region.
It's not. I mean,
Afotiagbo going to the Volta region.
You would think it's one person.
Cause integration.
No, you would think it's one person. But if we take our very recent past, you know, we've just had elections. We had people making all sorts of statements, you know, that are not worth repeating. If I'm honest.
Of course.
Now, if you put that into context, that we want to have a situation, or our president, in his wisdom, has determined that, look, the best way to move forward, okay, build greater integration. You know, the concept of integration is continuous.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't say, okay, I have integrated and then that's it. No, it's especially, I mean, in a country that has it's a diversity of ethnicities. Okay, so we always have issues, tensions, mannerism, values, you know, that are different. So in that regard, I mean, politically, if our politicians can do anything, you know, to help bring us together more, okay, and if the president determines that, okay, by shuffling his regional ministers, ensuring that, look, the noises we hear, people are on, I mean, I read a statement on CTFM the other day, I mean, some people in WA, some youth group saying they don't like a particular nominee, you know, because he's of a particular tribe and what have you. So you see, what I was talking about, tribe, you know, ethnicity, these are dangerous. I mean, if you ask me, I actually think that we need a race equality, you know, law in this country. That sort of balances all the equations, gender, ethnicity, you know, I mean, I won't go into sexual orientation because that our cultures are not ready for.
It's an independent topic.
Okay, exactly. But then also, yes, but also there's age discrimination and what have you. There are all these little things that we have to consciously, you know, we have to think of on our feet. You know, when you go to the advanced countries, I mean, we live in England, okay? If you go to England, there are all these laws in place. And Massa, you dare not break them, okay? One, they're saying, okay, we try the soft approach. That is to say, we encourage the people. And then they also try the legal avenue, okay? In this case, our president is trying a political strategy that seeks to integrate. And I think
any thoughts on the concept of integration before we discuss about
I think this move by the president is good for integration because national unity is very important. And the president made it very clear that this is a measure to foster national unity and integration as well as cohesion among all of us. The good thing about Ghana is that we are a serious country. We know what we want and we go for it. So it is always good to get the decision right at the right time. What I see is a proper coordination and a president who is decisive in the sense that there have been a lot of, you know, ethnic undertones, a lot of tribal sentiments.
Regarding his appointments?
Not just that, even regarding the recent election we had.
Of course.
We've had so much of that, and it's shameful. Because some of us, I am Prince Kasim Albankudi, but then I come from Akachi in the Volta region.
Okay.
Because my mom is an Ebe. You see, so you can see that we are one people, and we've got to work on that. We have to work on how we can remain a united country. This is one great step that will
the question that keeps coming to mind is that, oh, Mr. President, you simply could have asked right from the word go, nominate Afotiagbo, for instance, as a Volta regional minister designate. Case closed. There won't be the need for this debate. Why we are debating is because it looks too early. They're supposed to go to different ministries, different regions, and now there's a quick reshuffle. That's the whole debate. You know, why not from the inception? Just take them there.
That's what I said before. That the president is a decisive president.
Okay.
There have been a lot of tribal, ethnic, or whatsoever undertones in this country. And I've always said, during the last year, we had somebody from the opposition party, a very prominent person, calling a particular tribe, you know, calling on them to attack people from two other tribes, Canada,
Japan. Yeah.
We've had that behavior in this country.
Okay.
The best way forward is to reintegrate our people.
Okay. Okay. Just for the information of the viewers, these are the reshuffle list. We have one, the Ashanti Regional Minister, Mr. Samuel Sapon, moves to the Central Region, and to the Bronga-Hafo Regional Minister, Mr. Eric Opoku, moves to the Ashanti Region, and the Central Regional Minister, Mr. Ebenezer Kojo Teye Ado, moves to Western Region. We have the Eastern Regional Minister, Mr. Julius Debra, moves to the Greater Accra Region, so Eastern to Greater Accra. And number 5, we have the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Nilai Afotiagbo, moves to the Volta Region. And then we also have the Upper East Regional Minister, Mr. Ephraim Avia Ensom, moves to the Upper West Region. You could say that that one is very close. The Upper West Regional Minister, Mr. Big Zidane, moves to the Northern Region. And the Volta Regional Minister, Mrs. Helen Tosu, moves to the Eastern Region. And the Western Regional Minister, Mr. Paul Evans Edu, moves to the Bronga-Hafo Region. And then finally, we have the Minister of State at the Presidency, Alhaji Limuna Mohammed Muniru, moves to the Upper East as Acting Regional Minister. We would end the discussion on the reshuffle here because we need to quickly, because we need to go to the budget.
I mean, I just, I mean, it crossed my mind that, look, when it comes to football, when you take the South African tournament, for instance, the African Cup of Nations, we're all celebrating and jubilating, you know, celebrating our players and our country. Okay, there was no talk of, and if you look at that group of players,
it's one thing that unites all Ghanaians.
Yes, it's football, and we have people from various backgrounds and tribes in our national team, and nobody complains that, hey, this one is from here, so you shouldn't be given the opportunity to. But they play exactly. So why can't we just see this, you know, in the same light? And then 2, just to throw a spanner in the works. Now there's a big debate, which we'll reserve for another day, about the relevance of regional ministers. In essence, you know,
it's a topic on our table.
It's a big topic on its own.
I'm sure when the time comes, we'll call on you to be one of our discussants.
I'll wait for that day.
Earlier today, the debate started in Parliament House, a motion moved by the Minister of Finance and seconded by the Majority Leader, you know, kickstart the debate in Parliament House. But I'm surprised to hear, you know, some members of Parliament commenting as though, once again, that they are on a campaign platform. Debating the budget is a serious exercise, ladies and gentlemen. It's a serious enterprise. One would expect that members of Parliament will make use of their research assistant, some members of Parliament perhaps, and then get the facts, speaks to the issue, just speak to the facts and figures. Anything short of that must not be countenanced. For instance, Esla Usu, I mean, she just went on and on and on, raging and ranting on the floor of the House. We really could not make sense of what she was trying to put across. For a moment, you might think that they are still campaigning. I just want to advise that we are governing the country, and both MPP and NDC have a common duty to ensure that that is done with utmost care. You know, and so let's take this budget debate seriously, with all due respect to you know, some members of Parliament from the minority side of the House. Prince Kasim, still, we keep hearing, you said a budget deficit of 6.7%, and then you ended up with 12%. It looks like people are not really interested in knowing what was the result, what caused the high deficit. I know that some serious interventions, for instance, there were about 17 you know, government intervention, or if you say mitigative measures that were put in place, and each of them would cost less than $1 billion, like 700 million Ghana cedis. But yet we have a higher budget deficit. We want to know what caused that.
Thank you. The budget deficit, let's not forget that the NPP left close to 24.5% budget deficit if you were to include the arrears to contractors, nearly 25% of GDP at the time. That's what the NPP left for the NDC to clear. You don't take 4 years to solve a problem that a party created over an 8-year period, do you?
Not at all.
That is the thing. Part of the budget deficit was because the NDC is still paying debts accrued by NPP in arrears. Part of it. I'm not saying all of it. We tell the truth in the NDC. We don't go beating about the bush. On top of that, there were shortfalls in corporate income taxes, especially from the petroleum sector, which I said last week.
Yeah.
As a business economist, I know that if I budget for my business or I'm advising another business or government entity, and I budget and I do not realize revenue from one sector, it becomes a shortfall. And I must find a way to plug the gap, the hole in there. So the oil sector, for instance, I explained before that the oil companies have been given some room, free room to operate because they invested their monies in order to discover the oil before we start earning money from the oil. So as part of the agreement, the previous government, which was the NPP, did with them, they are supposed to recoup their costs before they start paying some sorts of taxes. So the shortfall happened because partly 708.2 million Ghana cedis was not realized from the oil sector, that's the petroleum sector. Also, the development partners couldn't turn up with nearly 390 million Ghana cedis that they promised the government of Ghana. Then, the mother of all problems, single spine salary. We have nearly 2 billion Ghana cedis in excess of what was actually budgeted to be paid to them, because the single spine salary structure was designed and thought through by the previous government. It became a burden for the NDC to implement, and the NDC thinks that, well, truthfully, Ghanaian workers deserve more. So, in a way, the workers were agitating. The NDC's original idea had always been to implement this gradually in a way that it will not cause the national coffers trouble. It will not cause a problem to our budget and all that. But it just couldn't work, because once the doctor gets it, the policeman wants to get it. Once the teacher gets it, the nurse wants to be on board. So that is the thing. That's what we have. And higher interest costs. And when we talk about higher interest, it includes loans and the euro bond, the $750 million euro bond that NPP got, and it never went into anything good. Yeah. Yes, the euro bond too, part of the interest cost from NPP time, we are paying. So it's not just an NDC problem, it's a Ghanaian problem. Let's solve it.
But they accuse you of overspending. I mean, they continuously mention the presidency. I know the presidency is made up of many agencies. 51. Yes, but I don't think the explanation has gone down well with them. How do we ensure in the future, even though we know the presidency is made up of multiple numbers of agencies, perhaps there will be a way to streamline this excess spending? Yeah.
I actually think that instead of just targeting the presidency, we need to look at the bigger picture of the public sector or the workforce in the country and their levels of productivity. Okay, that you consider that in this country, somebody can decide to go on strike for a month, for 2 months, 3 months. Okay, but at the end of the month, they would go to the bank and draw their salaries. Okay, it is not done anywhere else in the world. Okay, that you have that situation. Why won't we have such a big deficit? Okay, so I believe that we need to have certain practical systems in place. That look, you're on strike, your salary is withheld. Your union to whom you make contributions should pay you. That's best practice. That's how it's done elsewhere. In the UK, nobody goes on strike for more than a day. Because when you go on strike, your union pays 50% of that daily wage. Whether it's a salary or you're on a daily rate, it's calculated. Okay, so at the end the month, the union will cough up and pay for that particular...
they said you use part of those money to buy cars to distribute to students on campus, and NHS is now crying that, hey, we need money, and you use all the money for campaign.
But here, this is the thing. Okay, we talk about a 12.5% or something deficit. Okay, I mean, for a lot of people, when they say they've been hearing the deficit, the deficit is essentially a shortfall between, I mean, your revenues that you generate and your expenditure. Okay, so the difference between what you actually earn and so if you take a salaried worker, for instance, that you get 2,000 Ghana a month, okay, and your monthly expenditure is say 2,500 or 3,000, okay, it means there's a shortfall, and that difference is the deficit that we're talking about.
They said your target, deficit target, is 13% for 2013. Yeah. And they are worried. 12% is too much, and now you said 13%. But the explanation I got from the finance minister was that, because we are middle income earners, and therefore we forfeit, there's some of these grants and loans that we get at very considerable rate. We are no more getting that. Yes. And so we need to thrive on our own to make sure we get more revenues into the economy.
There's a certain
but I'm not sure the MPP want to listen to that.
No, they wouldn't. But you see, there's a certain cost to development. Okay. But we cannot say that, hey, because there's that cost, that we're going to lose donor funding, so we don't want to develop. We want to remain as a low-income country. No. Okay, so in actual fact, I mean, there's this argument that over time, the Ghanaian economy, we haven't put in place a lot of structures to ensure that our economy grows that much. But I believe when you look at the data from the budget, that over time, in 4 years, that in the last 4 years of the MPP regime, that they were very reckless when it came to spending. So that, like Prince mentioned, we inherited, the NDC government inherited a 24%, okay, deficit, carrying forward. Okay, that in itself, that we have to continue to pay up to today, it's a huge burden. That if you look at this 12.5% for instance, that if you analyze properly, you will see that MPP spending, MPP recklessness, essentially contributed about half of that. Okay, we talk about the Gang of Six Roads. We talk about that we had to, they basically signed and they didn't have money for. Okay, so how can you do that? That's recklessness. That you go and cut the sword, you put control just because you've gotten some 2%
no proper source of funding.
No proper source of funding. And so we come in and we have to go look for the money. Now they're talking about the NDC government being the government that has borrowed so much, more than any other government.
Yes.
They're talking
that's
about
another chorus they found.
They're talking about the 3 billion Chinese loan and what have you.
Is it minus even the 3 billion you have borrowed? You've had the highest debt since Kwame Nkrumah's era.
Exactly. But you see, what they forget is that they left the mess. I don't believe it's true anyway. Yes. Look, borrowing, is good.
So long as it's for developmental projects.
Exactly. As long as it's for infrastructure development. Because remember, this country needs infrastructure. Certainly. We need very, very good roads, to cut down the carnage on our roads, to ensure easy movement of goods and services and people. The people in villages who are rushing to Accra, because their areas are underdeveloped. If they have good roads, they have good drinking water, they have, industries in their areas. If you take the North-South development gap, for instance, if you look at all of those things, look, we need infrastructure, we need railway, we need improved aviation. We'll cut down on the carnage, we'll also ensure that, look, there's enlightenment. How people watch TV these days. They watch all these soaps, and they see beautiful cities.
Yeah.
And they're wondering, oh, we wish our country was
It's
like
like
that.
that.
Okay, it is possible, it's achievable, but we need to spend. And hey, if we cannot generate all the revenue, okay, for now, we can borrow, because remember, we're credit worthy. That's why, I mean, any creditor is happy to give to us.
But the credit rating has gone down from B plus to B negative. I mean, B stable to B negative. I mean, even though it is not too bad, but perhaps the rates of debt payment is causing that from some angles that have, Prince.
Let me just sound a note of a word of caution to be noted. It's just one credit rating agency.
Okay.
We've got so many, and the major ones are pretty much the big three, about three of them.
Okay.
It's just one saying that, okay.
One of them is being sued, by the way. SMP.
It's just one saying that, okay, we feel this way.
Okay.
It doesn't tell the overall
So
picture.
this is not an aggregate rating.
At all.
Okay.
The overall picture is that investors find Ghana so attractive to invest in because of the stability, because of our peace, because of our seriousness with government. I said earlier on that Ghanaians are very serious people. Now, we've had the services sector, the largest sector of Ghana's economy. It overtook agriculture a few years ago. It recorded the highest growth. If a sector is overtaking our traditionally biggest sector or our previously biggest sector, biggest economic sector, then it means it is becoming the bigger one. And when we talk about services, we are talking about, you know, things like hotels and restaurant services, transport services, storage, information and communication technology, financial services like banking, you know, private equity. You know, these are the telecommunications, for instance, is a services sector from the mobile companies. It was under this current president we have, President John Mahama, when he was communications minister, that's when all these reforms happened under the telecom sector. Today, Ghana's telecom sector is one of the biggest employers in this country. And that's why some of us were not surprised when the good gentleman, His Excellency the President, rose from his position as staff of the Japanese Embassy, Plan International. He rose through the ranks, became an MP, became a minister, and he became a vice president and a president. He's got all the experience to run this country, and that is why he's doing everything possible. So the best we can do for ourselves, build more good quality schools, as the NDC is doing, making sure that we've got universities in every single region of this country. We build good quality hospitals, making sure that we have ultra modern hospitals that can take care of our people when they are ill. And then you can see that people from other countries will come and pay for these services, and we would make money from these people. Let's assume most countries from West Africa coming to access health care in this country. If we built it to a good level, they come access tertiary health care here, and then we make money for our people. It would mean good things. Let's assume people from other countries coming to go to school here, paying to go to school here. That money stays in Ghana. That is what President John Mahama is doing.
So you would, I mean, we are wrapping up in 3 minutes. What would you suggest to the MPs? What should guide their pattern of debate? I mean, instead of this shouting over the rooftops as if we are still in campaign mode, you know, what should guide the pattern of debate in the House?
To all the MPs, I think let's be realistic. Ghana has always had problems. It's not a matter of the parliamentary shouting during debates or name calling. It will never solve the problem. Okay. We've got to be one. When we get into parliament, we should remember that we were voted there, or they were voted there, to go and represent the people. So it should be the interest of the people, not the interest of the parties, you know, their pockets and whatsoever. And then to the NPP ones, especially Esla Owusu, it's not how well you shout. It's not how much you shout. It's not how many times you shout.
Okay.
It's about what you can do for this country.
Okay.
It's just as simple as that. And we should be doing the right thing for this country. And that is debating the issues, not insulting or inferring things that are not true. Let's tell the truth. Let's go straight and work for the people of Ghana.
Okay. Gameli, you think debt is not bad if it is reflecting in the development, infrastructural development, to be precise, in the country? You think that the MPP are really listening to this?
The MPP, I mean, if they don't listen, I don't blame them. You see, all I can say is that we need to remove the political coloration when we are discussing national issues. Okay, because Ghana first. This country matters. You matter, I matter. And if we dispassionately, put our political coloration aside and discuss how to move this country forward, how to make our public services more efficient, how to increase performance, how to increase discipline in our people, that on our roads there's indiscipline. I mean, these are practical things we need to be doing as country folks. Okay, we need to be proud of our nationhood, and we need to be, selfless. Okay. There's no magic wand anywhere. And so they shouldn't put any pressure on the president or the finance minister. Look, development is a process. Okay, it's the responsibility of leaders and individuals. And if they want to succeed, they have to take extreme measures. Okay, and our president...
It looks like now they've acknowledged the president as the duly elected president.
They have no choice.
They are seriously debating his budget.
They have no choice. Yes, they are. They were always going to come to this point. Okay, the foolhardy would stop. Okay, the Supreme Court, I can tell you for a fact that if the Supreme Court rules otherwise, then it's tantamount to a coup in this country.
Of course, I'm sure this is a point many Ghanaians would agree with you. I say thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time here. And also special regards to my very good friends, the NEAT squad of Rashad Islamic School. Say enjoy the rest of the evening. And you out there, thanks for watching. Make a date with me on Thursday. Majority Caucus would continue on Thursday. Make a date with me right here, same channel, same time. Till then, enjoy the rest of your night. Bye-bye.